device you're wearing is hooked into your upper and lower jaw. When the timer in the back goes off, your mouth will be permanently ripped open. Think of it like a reverse bear trap. All you have to do is...
Oh, well, you could have just said that. Hello everyone, it's Sam, aka Ocean Unknown, and welcome back to my channel. So let me ask you all something. Have you ever seen the movie Saw and thought, this is great, but wouldn't it be even better if the characters broke out in song and dance? Well, a group of students at Buffalo High School in Buffalo, Minnesota had the exact same feeling as in March of 2017, this group of students debuted Saw the Musical. I came across this through a TikTok made by the user Jiggy Saw Girl, and just the concept of a Saw musical intrigued me and made me so happy. Now, this may or may not come as a surprise depending on if you know me in real life or not, but I am actually a big fan of the Saw franchise. I watched the first 7 movies during quarantine in fall of 2020, and as you all know, I'm a theater major in college, so finding this oddity was the best of both worlds in the truest form for me. For some context, Saw the Musical is a comedy parody musical based on the Saw franchise, more specifically the first movie from 2004. This project was written and directed by Buffalo High School students Emily Twardy and Bednarak as their senior capstone. The musical follows the story of the Jigsaw Killer kidnapping those who he deems unworthy of their lives as they make painful and difficult sacrifices to survive his deadly traps. Bednarak and Twardy made a website for the project where they minorly documented the process of making the musical, including audition forms, the characters' monologues, introduction to the 2 writers and the cast, and some pictures. Hello everyone, as you all can see, I'm not in my regular studio. I'm in my college dorm right now. I wrote this YouTube video script in the early summer of last year around June, and since then an official touring musical parody of Saw was announced. It had its off-Broadway debut in late 2023 and is still currently having shows in LA. This brand new Saw musical is possibly why the old website got taken down, but I still have this old script that features some of the writings from the old website. Also, since this year is the 20th anniversary of Saw, perhaps I might make a video on the new Saw musical? We'll see what happens. Anyways, back to me talking about the 2017 Saw musical. Twardy wrote an artist statement explaining that the whole idea started out as a joke, but her friends wanted her to actually write and produce a musical based on Saw. During the process of writing it, Twardy found a partner in Bednarak who helped write some of the songs and dialogue, and then after many rehearsals, this became their senior capstone project. The musical seemingly had multiple performances seen by the different dates on the photos, but on March 27th, 2017, they filmed the performance and 2 days later posted it onto YouTube, which is where we get today's video. It is only 37 minutes long and has raving reviews such as, "This is the most insanely idiotic thing I have ever seen. This is not good, this is not funny, this is not original, this is not creative, this is not entertaining, this is just plain terrible in every way. Everyone who had a hand in this should hang their head in shame." Damn, okay. And thank you Ride the Cyclone TikTok for letting me know this exists. Everything always comes back to Ride the Cyclone on this channel, doesn't it? I wouldn't really dunk on this too hard. I mean, it was made by a group of high school theater students, so you have to at least give them some credit and respect. With all that exposition out of the way, without further ado, let's watch Saw the Musical. The musical opens with your typical pre-show announcement.
Hi folks, Kermit the Frog here.
Oh wait, what I actually mean is theater pre-show announcements are 99% absolutely ridiculous. This person, named Nathan Beale, tells everyone the basic spiel of please turn off your cell phones and don't talk during the performance.
Now Saw the Musical, yay!
The show starts with Billy, our narrator who is a puppet operated by an actor, speaking to one of the victims of Jigsaw's traps, Paul.
You have spent your whole life feeling trapped.
This is the same intro to the Jigsaw Killer as the first Saw movie when Paul is put into the razor wire maze trap because the killer thinks Paul doesn't value life because he harmed himself. First off, I need to compliment the artistry of the school's tech department because that razor wire trap looks amazing and is a great screen-to-stage adaptation of the trap. Second, Billy's face is cursed. Yeah, you could say that again. Anyways, Paul immediately dies, as the ensemble made up of reporters and investigators walk on stage to perform the very first song. Let me tell you, it's a bop. song continues, they report on Paul's death, and I have to commend the actor playing Paul for standing still in that uncomfortable position for such a long time. There's also a nice tongue-in-cheek reference to the musical itself.
This just in, 2 teens, the rest are copyright infringement.
This just in, I got nothing.
We are then introduced to the two main investigators, Poke, who is new to the case, and Carrie, the experienced detective. Billy appears on stage again to welcome everyone to Saw the Musical. Also, at this moment, I just realized that Billy's face doesn't move. It's just a stiff mask, which I think makes it even funnier. Billy goes on to state that the Jigsaw Killer is not by definition a killer because he always gives his victims an opportunity to escape and have a new appreciation for life. Which isn't true for one. If you put someone in a deadly situation on purpose, you're still a murderer. That's like saying if you push someone into a room below 0 degrees and blast liquid nitrogen and lock the door, you're not the killer, the liquid nitrogen is the killer. Like, no, you locked that person in there on purpose. Billy then says that one of the survivors of Jigsaw's traps went on to become his apprentice and loyal follower, of course referring to Amanda Young of the first movie. However, for the sake of avoiding copyright, in the musical she is named Anne. John, the Jigsaw Killer, and Anne appear on stage as John monologues about how he's not a murderer because he gives people a second chance at life. Anne tries to get him to pay attention to his latest subjects and also to her, but he just keeps on monologuing. There's an edgy guitar riff, as the captions say, as the scene cuts to Jigsaw's newest victims who are trapped in a combination of the bathroom from the first movie and the nerve gas house from Saw 2. We've got Derek, an entitled spoiled frat guy, Jane, a nihilist who wants all good things to come to her, and Alice, who's put together but is also incredibly arrogant. They've basically got every single negative trait you can think of. Derek tries to hit on both Alice and Jane in questionable ways. Jane lacks any hope, and Alice is manipulative and full of herself. Alice also reveals that she's a med student through this ridiculous line.
The world's greatest med student is gonna die in a frickin' Taco Bell bathroom.
Derek realizes exactly what's going on. He finds a tape recording, the staple of the Jigsaw Killer. Billy appears again to explain to them that there is a neurotoxin coursing through their veins and they have about 3 hours to find the antidotes before they all die. This transitions into the second song where Alice, Derek, Jane, and the ensemble sing about finding the drive to save their own lives.
So what do I do? Can I find the means to do? Can I let go and do what I know how to do?
Also, you can clearly see that the ensemble includes Paul. Like, what are you doing there? You're supposed to be dead. Anyways, the three leave the bathroom and it goes back to poking Carrie along with a criminologist, Marks, investigating the Jigsaw Killer again, but their investigation is stopped by a pun.
No one saw anything?
As Marks is integrated more into the conversation, we get yet another joke about copyright infringement.
It looks like the corner of copyright and infringement.
As well as a wonderful dig at the police, because any dig at the police is a good one.
Take time to get a warrant.
Who said anything about a warrant?
It then goes back to John and Anne as they perform a duet about oblivion, but while John is singing about the victim's oblivion to the joy of life, Amanda wants John to see the devotion and love she gives him. The ensemble then walks on stage and does an interpretive dance, including both Alice and Derek. Also, the elusive Paul is back to join them. Anyways, the detectives find their way to the warehouse they've been investigating as they are both hit from behind with a baseball bat. Meanwhile, the three trapped in the gas house encounter Billy once again as they now have less than 2 hours to make it out alive. Alice finds one of the antidotes, but is attached to a trap that will burn her hand and likely kill her, most likely referencing the furnace trap from Saw 2. Billy tells Alice that to survive and grab the antidote, she must press her face against the burning iron. Seems kind of irrelevant to the hand injury and grabbing the antidote, but okay. Also, I love how happy Billy says their lines.
Live or die, make your choice.
Like, imagine if other horror movies were like that. Yummy corn syrup and chocolate sauce. Alice then pulls her hand out of the trap and starts a dance number.
Should I decide to burn my face?
I think this should be the next TikTok dance. Anyways, Alice goes through with the trap, burning her face and grabbing the first antidote. Next is the trap for Jane, as Billy explains that Jane was kidnapped for essentially being a people pleaser, walking on eggshells around everyone. So for her test, Jane must walk across broken glass to reach her antidote. Expressing her hesitations through song, she offstage walks on the glass as it cuts back to Anne and John. John introduces Anne to Francis, another Jigsaw survivor and his new apprentice. At the sight of a new Jigsaw devotee, Anne feels like she's not enough for John, kind of similar to the mutual disliking that Amanda and Jigsaw's second apprentice, Mark Hoffman, had in the movies. Anne hits John with the harsh truth that the news is calling him a killer and recommends making a statement to prove he's not a murderer. Francis argues that the best option is to lay low, which John agrees with. Anne feels betrayed by John and basically says, "If I can't have you, no one can." Meanwhile, Jane survived her trap and Derek tries to make a move on her. But it's also revealed that Derek stole Jane's antidote. The girls rightfully are furious with him, and Derek refuses to go through with the trap assigned to him. Jane goes into Derek's trap as Billy explains that Jane's life is in the hands of her companions. If they push the white button, she will be released, but if they push the black button, the other two will be let out of the house early and the oxygen will eventually run out in the trap. Alice runs to save Jane, but Derek tries to stop her. Derek then stalls Jane's oxygen even more by singing about his self-reflection and how the best option to him is to let Jane die in the box. Alice lets Jane out, but Anne and John enter the scene unexpectedly as Anne says she saw Jane flirting with Derek on her screens and says no one can love if she can't love John. Thus, she shoots Jane? Let me ask you one question. What? What was the motivation for that? Anne's motivation was to get John to pay attention to her, so she takes out her anger on Jane? Also, Jane dodged Derek's uncomfortable advances onto her, so I'm confused. Anne then shoots Alice as Derek gets away, which honestly pisses me off even more because all he did was cause conflict and say that Jane deserved to die. John then locks Anne in the nerve gas house, saying the classic Jigsaw line, and once again, there is another joke about copyright infringement.
911, what is your emergency?
718 copyright, sir.
Anne is now in prison as she calls John and he confesses to turning her in. He says that because she attempted to kill Anne and Jane, she is a murderer in his eyes and he doesn't need murderers working for him. The entire cast comes on to perform a final musical number perfectly named To Have Seen. To Have Seen. Saw. The song ends with a high note and the stage going black, except a creepy light on Anne in her cell and for some reason the same creepy light on Alice, who looks like a ghost in a horror game. Everyone takes a bow, including the writers and creators of the musical. And that is Saw the musical. The students who all worked on this clearly worked very hard, and I give them so much credit for putting all this together. I really enjoyed watching it and making this video, and I hope you all really enjoyed it. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell for notifications. Comment down below if you were to turn a horror movie into a musical, which movie would you do? I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much.